I am joined by Gommo. You might recognize him from Old World Fanatics, but he is here to talk about something other that he's doing, something exciting. We're here to talk about Old World rankings. How are you doing today, Gommo?
I'm great, mate. Yeah, thank you for getting up early and chatting to me on the other side of the world.
It's actually
Really
significantly
appreciate it.
later than the last time I got up early to talk to you.
Yeah,
I
well,
got
that's
an
true.
extra
Yeah,
3 hours sleep.
Yes, that
I,
was very early, that one.
it
Can't
was,
believe it.
yeah,
And you were way more helpful than I was doing that review. So,
not a problem at all. That's what gets up. What happens when you got to get up on a school night. But I will link the Old World
yeah.
Fanatics down below for you if you
Yeah, that'd be
haven't
good.
caught them. They're an Old World podcast. But what we're here to talk about today is the Old World Rankings website. And this is the sort of thing that I find incredibly exciting because it's the stats, it's the tournament stats. Have you got sort of like a pitch line, or can you give us a brief description of what the website is?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, I mean, the initial thing is it's literally trying to, I guess, rank every player at every tournament, having sort of basically the competitive side of Old World, get that data and be the one-stop shop for analysis of that in your regions, as well as it expands globally as well. But yeah, I've got some big plans for it because basically, at least I would like it to be everything we need for whatever we want in terms of Old World and community building. But I'm starting on that competitive side because it just, at the end of the day, it feels like a healthy competitive wargaming scene breeds a really popular game. Doesn't matter what it is, you know what I mean? The casual gets benefits, the hobbyist gets benefits, the narrative gamer gets benefits. And so that's what I want to do. I just want to kick that off and have something that I would use. And I think it's getting some good initial, I guess, feedback from people. It's been really exciting. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, coming from 40k, or if you come from Age of Sigmar to more sort of modern games, there's a lot of support there. It's just automatically tracked. There's a website that you can go to that's terrible, that's very laggy, and it's hard to find good stats, and it doesn't really have much of a breakdown. So it's nice to have something that's smooth and does have a breakdown.
Yeah, well, they got big bullseyes on the back of their butts. That's for sure. That's my next thing. But let's get Old World right. That's what I think first.
Absolutely, yeah. Slightly
Yeah,
smaller tournament pool of data to work with
exactly.
first.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, speaking of, you've currently got it broken down into different regions, and how many regions have you got live at the moment?
I think there's now I can't remember. It's either 7 or 9. It's one of them. I can't remember. We could actually have a look if we jump back to the global scene when we bring it up. The global, I think it's got down the bottom there. Okay, so technically it's 12, but I haven't loaded all the data in, so it's 7 as it's coming along here. So, that's probably a good place to start if you want me to just talk about the regions and how that kicked off. Because look, ultimately, there's an awesome player over here called Angus, or ASB, who's been in the 9th age scene, or sort of 6th and 7th for short scene, and he's helping get the with some other guys get the Master Series going for Old World in Australia. And so, me being Old World Fanatics plus knowing, I'd helped run CanCon 6th Ed tournament, did the tech for that, and people know that I'm a bit of a techie guy. They sort of pulled me along to sort of do that side. And then when I saw that we were about to start opening Google Sheets and trying to do stuff like that, I went, nah, sorry, that's not happening. Let me see what I can do in 3 days. And I smashed out the basics of what you see here. But obviously for the last, month, it's, nights and weekends sort of pumping this out as well and growing it. And from day one, I sort of thought, hey, if we're doing it for Australia, other countries are going to want to do it. And I was around in 8th and saw, the Masters events happening and things like that. So I went, let's just build it and see who's interested to jump on and help. And, it's been good. So, and unfortunately, it looks like you're using Windows, and I forget that the emojis don't come up very good on that. So they're supposed to have little flags next to all those countries. So I'm going to have to fix that. Yeah, which is a bit annoying. I make heavy use of emojis on Mac, and I think they don't always come up on Windows. So
That's a good bit of product testing there, then.
Yeah. I probably should test that a little bit more, but yeah, one-man shop at the moment. So.
Fortunately, you have got names on there, so it is still functional, even if it's not quite as pretty as you wanted it to be. But so something that you touched on there, as you said, so you're looking for support for each region. Can you just sort of give us a bit of detail about what you're looking for?
Yeah, and look, right there, you'll see it says region and leagues. And look, I'm calling it regions, but ultimately under the covers, this product can run, a group, a collection of tournaments in some type of, standardized way with some type of permission to allow certain people to administer that. Configurable, and now it's not all done, but I'll talk like it is, configurable scoring and how you actually want to do, what does qualify for a ranked tournament in your region or league and stuff like that. It just made sense though to call them regions and geographically put them on there now, because then that people instantly gravitate to, like, you're in the UK, you just go to UK, like, and then you go, well, what's happening here? And like, it's technically fake at the moment because the rankings are just based on the Australian Masters ranking system that we're building. But the whole idea was to just put it out there and make people go, oh, they'll either hate it or love it, and then they'll want to change it and get involved. And so the regional, the things I'd like to see out of the regions is just them starting to talk amongst themselves to start sort of, working out how they want to run their systems, their masters, their whatever it is, and I could help facilitate that with this site basically. And that might actually mean multiple regions for a particular country. I'm not saying it's locked to one, but right now I've just defaulted that way just for, it's just easier. People see it and go, they know where to click. So
Amazing. Yeah, that gives a lot of flexibility.
yeah.
So you said, obviously talking about regions. Let's have a breakdown of what we can actually do on each region. So do you want to just run through, and I'll scroll down as you go?
Yeah. So, and there, literally is some new stuff that I spent a couple of hours yesterday while I was out on a family holiday thing, family Christmassy holiday thing, hacking away on the laptop. So basically what I've got is probably in that menu on the top left. So that global overview is going to go back to the front page, that where you can sort of see some what we just saw before, like meta sort of quick stats on the whole, which regions are around and things like that. Once you come in here, there's like a dashboard, which is what you're looking at now, just giving you a quick snapshot of the current season date, which is at the top there. It's 2024, although I think we're blocked it out, but that's fine. How many tournaments, how many regional players are in there. And then what I've just put in today is sort of latest top player lists and results. So what I want to have here is a quick snapshot of what's happened in the last week or so, who's 5-zipped, who's 4-1'd. If you scroll a little bit down, you'll see there's an Ed there who
That's
pretty
me.
good there with his Dark Elves. And then that little icon there, if it's black, probably need to put some textual stuff around here, is an army list. Now, you have to be logged in to see the army list, but it'll bring up the army list. And I want to show you guys, that's something I need help with, which we can talk about in a minute. But basically, I wanted this dashboard to be a place for the regional, for you guys to come, see what's happened in the last week, who's won with what, that type of thing, as well as what's upcoming, which is on the right there, the upcoming tournaments.
Here,
that's really good.
It shows you can link a profile.
Yes. So let's talk through that, because that is one thing that I think is going to be unique on this system. So I'm pulling players from all the main tournament platforms, and not just that, like you can do manual imports. So some of the tournaments we've run here are manual, so I've had to import them. Players are, and this is a really interesting concept, players are actually global. They're not your player is not a UK player, it's just a global player. It's technically not even an old world player. So as I said, targets on their back, when this is running AOS as well, your profile will show you the games in AOS and old world. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. This will be, it's probably going to be a different name by then, but you will have an whatever your nick is, that is going to be your tournament tabletop career profile. So think Twitter for wargamers. That's sort of where I'm sort of, in terms of, big social network. That's what I'd love to do. So I built it that way initially, but as a result, all this data is here for the players. And then when you register, you need to be able to link your user to a player. So yours should be in here. So what you'll do is you'll search for Edward, and hopefully it comes up. Yeah. Now, right now, I get notified that you've linked that just so I can check. Like someone could have linked to you, you know what I mean? But right now I'm hoping most people behave, but we'll see how it goes.
That's a problem that we can deal with when the first person's a knobhead. That's
basically. I mean, you can't do anything with the play. It's not like you can go and change the player's results. That's not really that effective if you link to the wrong one. But once you've done that, if you go back to the dashboard, then we can kick off through there again, and you'll be able to See what we're doing there. So, yeah, if you write, probably the easiest thing, because this is a little, I don't know if I want to keep it this way, but anyway, where you had your list, yeah, see that it comes up. It's actually on a different page. It's actually on the
Mm.
tournament result page. So now you just got to close that and go back to the dashboard. But it is what it is.
Well, that's okay though, because it's a single press to get you where you want to be, so it doesn't feel like it's an
Yeah, and I sort
inconvenience.
of wanted it to technically, you want to be able to share that URL sometimes and say, hey, here's
Mm.
my results for this tournament. So that's sort of why it goes there. Now, this is what I'd love to, I know we're sort of jumping around here, but where you see those black list buttons, you also would have seen yellow ones. So if you scroll down a bit further, and you do not need to be logged in for this. See those ones? They're basically submit an army list. So basically, some of the systems like BCP, they're locked behind their user stuff. I don't pull that data. If you have access to BCP or you know the lists, I want you to click that button up there. Anyone can do this and submit a list. It comes through to us. We can just check it's right, and then we just basically approve it and it attaches. So that way, we're using crowd, the tournament scene, to basically make sure that the data is correct. And we'll do more of that for all the stuff, like make sure the tournament results are correct, make sure the actual tournaments are listed, all that, to make sure that the community helps build this as well. And it's not just down to one person or one region to like admin to sort of sort it out. So yeah, just want people to understand that little yellow button, if if the list's not there or you know what it is, like send it to us. It'd be a big help. So cool.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
All right. So if we go back to the dashboard, we've covered the lists, which is honestly the most exciting thing. I think I said to you in a message, I can't wait to beat people at events playing my list
Yes.
badly.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's something that I've
Yeah.
experienced in 40k, so it's nice to have that in Old World now.
Yeah, look, you get people negative reactions to, oh God, now you're just mettering it. There's just going to be but look at this is the world we live in. Like people just like to see it, and so you can't not have it. So, and then look, you won't shut me up on this stuff. The other thing, under the covers here, I want to, make much more use of AI in order to do much better meta analysis. So that way we can go, most of the tournament lists do have big poison blocks or do have, like get away from just win-loss stuff and actually look at what's in those lists, and just, be interesting. So, yeah, we've got the tools. Let's use them. So with that, then if you scroll down, then it starts touching into just the top regional players. Now, that is related to the scoring, like what we would call the Masters rankings. Now, of course, that's the big. So if you click on Masters rankings on the left there, that's grayed out. Do you get the pop-up? You might have
Not
disabled
yet,
it.
no.
Well, you might have said no to it before, like a week ago. There would have been a pop-up that came up saying, hey, these rankings aren't official. Don't get annoyed. It's just based on Australia. This is a demo. So we're using, if you scroll right to the top there, if you click that black button to the right, the how is ranking. So currently this is sort of hard coded in a way. When I mean that, it's just the regions are using the same scoring that Australia is currently going to run for our first 2025 season. Won't go into the specifics, but basically what it's trying to do is, allow you to obviously score really high, but also if you don't have to play like 50,000 games a season to score high, you know what I mean? Like if you go really well in a few good events, you're wrapped there. And so that's what we're doing. Obviously, what I would envision is each regional league ends up coming up with their own version of that, whether or not it's that or whether or not it's just full GT podiums or GT wins they want to track, whatever it is, we'll provide, I at the moment, will provide the ability to sort of configure your region to get a different set of rankings for your region. But that right now, that's just understand how that would work. And then if you did that, you'd come in and you'd see your region's rankings, which currently looks like James Ramsey's at the top. And you're up there somewhere, aren't you? 11th or something?
11th, yeah. The event that I came second at, unfortunately, ended up being a bit smaller last weekend, just gone. So there were only 9 of us there, which misses the cutoff.
Misses the cutoff for this one. Yeah, it's just ranked as 10 or more players. But I mean, again, that's arbitrary. So like down, who knows?
That's perfect. I think I don't think events that are that small. So it didn't feel like much of a meaningful event in terms of like the difficult players to beat. There weren't that many, so I shouldn't get a high score for it. So it's nice to have that sort of cutoff built in, and you're sort of filtering out, so it's harder to abuse it and just go, oh, I'm going to go and win a 4-person event and get up there in the rankings.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Look, I do plan on doing what I'm going to be calling, I'll probably call the old world ranking, like a different number, which would be global. Because in the next, probably this week, you'll see a new section on that front page, that dark landing page that will have global meta, which will just have the breakdown. So it'll be up the top here. There'll be another button at some point, which just lets you look at the global stats, like all the faction stats and stuff. And so I will probably come up with something a little bit more, like the chess sort of type rankings, just to sort of have that. Whether or not people want to use that for their regions, up to them.
Yeah.
But I think at some point, it's probably just inevitable that this system will have to have a number on there, so people can just again just bragging rights. I'm top 10 in the world or whatever. But I don't want to enforce that. It's just the regions can do what they want, and they can come up with how they want to build their own systems. So
that sounds good. Yeah, no, people love the internet points and just being able to see how you're doing, how you're improving. It gave me a lot of motivation when I was starting to play competitively. That's for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I would expect it would. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, most of the numbers are bollocks at the end of the day. Like, but it gives someone a target, and they know they can get better or get, or they went down. So, yeah, hopefully it's good. Probably other thing to talk about there is that this is all singles at the moment. But I do, and I know you had your Team England. That's Team England? So you were talking about team tournaments the other day. I definitely plan on adding that in and having some support for teams in here as well as separate types of sort of ranking or whatever it is in each region.
Sure.
But yeah, right now it's just singles, but yeah, we'll build from there.
Perfect. And speaking of, you've got a little upcoming tournaments button here on the right, so you can see what's coming up. That's great. Obviously, actually finding tournament tickets can be a little bit of an arcane and difficult task. You have to be connected in the Facebook groups or find them wherever. So where do you pull this data from?
Yeah, so right now it's Facebook events, which a lot of them are connected to BCP. So BCP new recruits, stats and ladders, T3 and as Exon, what's it called? Exon? I always get that one wrong. Whatever it's the smaller one, and Longshanks are coming as well. So I'll be looking at those, but also technically Eventbrite in terms of just seeing if I find stuff. But what tends to happen is they come up and they're generally using BCP or something like that. It depends on the region. But trying to bring that as much together as possible. So you just bookmark this page, and then at the top there you can look at your. Well, it's a bit weird. Sorry, I don't know how the old in England, sort of UK works, but your states button up there turns into, I guess, countries in England. I don't know how it works. But obviously in the US or Australia, you'll see your states there, and then you got the event one. You can look at GT events or just RTTs and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So that way, if you just want to look for your next 5+ rounder, you just do that. The URL is then bookmarkable and shareable, and you just check back on that. If you sign up, which I'm making you, hopefully, if you want to look at the lists, you will get you'll get a weekly update on these tournaments coming up as well. So you shouldn't have to go finding them once this system's up and running and most of the stuff's coming in. So yeah,
fantastic, great stuff. And you say it sounds like there's a manual aspect to that. So is this a good time to talk about the support that you're looking for from local partners?
Yeah. So there's I wouldn't say it's very manual. Like, so I mean, I can't, you're not logged in as an admin, so we can't share that. But basically the actual pulling from those 3 other platforms I talked about earlier, that's technically automatic. But I just set the dates and then it does it. That will happen in the background. But the problem is it never comes through 100%. So it's always good to have what I call a region admin or a group of admins who have permissions on that region to do a little bit more than the general public. So they can turn, for example, some of the events you get in are just, they're just hobby ones. They don't have a win-loss, and they come in and I've just decided what I do is I turn them into what's called a draft visibility. You don't see them, but they will appear if they're automatic. So it's just having someone to sort of what's it called, like just babysit that stuff. But then on the weekend, and that's actually a good time to look at this. If you click on latest results, so under dashboard masters, we've got tournaments. So latest results now is this weekend and last week, like just stuff that's just about to happen. Like you can see here, because it's Sunday over your time, that there's some events on. So that middle one, for example, is currently happening. Probably it happened. I don't know what
that is
today.
that is today, and it'll start in about 2 hours.
Yeah, and so the data's starting to flow in, but it's not accurate yet. So it's just sitting there on zeros, obviously. But as that happens, they will pop in. But then the region admins, which is the people I'm sort of looking for, their task is to just go and check that, usually on a Monday, and go, okay, yeah, oh look, the TO hasn't, because what happens if the TOs don't shut the tournament down on, say, BCP, the data's not there and stuff like that. So it's just, it's a little bit of babysitting, and then the occasional thing happens where the faction's not accurate or it's missing. New recruits prolific for this. Sometimes it's just a bit weird. I won't get into the technical details, but you can get numbers of players coming back that have no faction listed.
Sure.
And so, but my system is able to be edited. So you can come in, edit that user's or that player's faction, just fix it up and then basically tick it and say, yeah, it's good to go. So it's just that, you could call it data cleansing, and 90% of it's good, but 10% needs a bit of manual stuff. And then there is obviously tournaments like New Zealand's coming online. They use new recruit and manual. So there's probably 10 tournaments to import through Excel and stuff like that. So that's
Sure.
all there as well, because obviously not everyone uses an online platform.
So if someone's interested in helping out for their region, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, like right now it's technically that chat down the bottom right, which we're probably sort of blocking that a little bit. There's a little chat bot there. You can just send me questions on that. What I actually have opened up, and I'll put the link, I'll give it to you, Ed, is a new, I know everyone's in 1,000 Discord servers, but now there's another one called Old World Rankings Discord server, which anyone can join. And I'd like other people to join because I announce stuff. We can chat about what people want, bugs, stuff like that. But if you are a region admin, you get an extra few channels, which you can then organize your region as well as see upcoming previews, like unreleased features, and work that stuff out before it comes out. So yeah, if you're those 11 regions there, if you're interested or know the type of people who used to run masters, all those type of things, get in contact. And I'm happy to sort of start. There's a sort of a group of videos that I have to sort of show people what it would involve, and if they're keen to get involved, we can chat and I can open it up, depending on, obviously if people want to. I wouldn't say it's a lot of effort, but I want the people involved to help grow it, not just be hanging around there, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, so there's
absolutely.
one thing. See that online region there too? See? I think I might run an online region too, which will have, the S bots and stuff like that. Just, again, might as well bring that data in and let people look at it, even if we don't merge it. Oh, I don't
Mm.
know. I mean, what's your opinion on that? Do you want the 100-player S bot faction stats
Well,
globally? Like, should that feed
I'm
into
6 and
global
1,
ranks?
so the biased part of me says yes, because that would
Yeah,
be
right.
a nice score to have on my list.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, technically, it's the same game, so why not? But then at the same time, you could argue that sometimes people will play lists there that are sort of easier to play online, or you probably wouldn't play that in real life, because fuck that, I'm not moving 160 skeletons around. But
Maybe the way to
I
do
don't
it
know.
is to have it filtered into your overall global ranking when that goes live, and just have a button that says
Yeah, it just
include online
toggles it out.
rankings, and then
Yeah.
people will just do whatever they fancy.
Yeah, well,
And
that's probably what will happen. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's why I thought bring it as a separate region, and then they can just toggle it out. So, yeah.
perfect. All right. Well, I think we've only covered about half of the details there, because there's so much on there. So we've gone through the upcoming tournaments, the top lists and players, and then also the top regional players, which is all great stuff. But then you've got some great stats down the bottom here, which very exciting to see. We've got
Mm.
some actual tournament appearance stats and win rates.
Yeah. So right now that's the beginnings of that. That will probably change very soon. So we'll have a separate meta. I'll call it like a meta section where we faction meta, basically looking at faction tournament appearances broken down by numbers of wins that they generally get. The win rates, I sort of copy that from Games Workshop, which is sort of that, again, I don't know if it's true or not, but that, wanting to get that 45 to
Mm,
55% win rate. Um, and then some other, faction related sort of ones, just to try to help, see, if they're mostly winning 4 wins, 5 win ones, or look at just GTs, how, like, just being able to give you more options.
yeah.
And then I'm going to start pulling, which I haven't done yet, but we will, is actually bringing the player matchup data in rather than just wins.
Mm.
Start looking at who, and that I'll need that for the overall world ranking. So basically looking at, that, like, for example, you, Ed, aren't going to get as many points off me when you play me because I'm down the bottom. Like, we want you to play good people. Yeah, like that type of thing. And
So an
or,
actual sort of like chess Glicko score, basically.
yeah, and to have that, we need those matchups, which, we can get most of that. And when we do that, we can do then more faction uh, meta sort of analysis. One of them being things like, I think Val invented this, is it T-Whip or whatever? It's basically like tournament winning position for a faction. So,
Mm.
which factions end up in a tournament winning position. So like they're 4-zip going into last round, something like
Yeah.
that. And just seeing those type of interesting sort of data points as well. And again, like I said earlier, we'll be analyzing all the lists with AI to pull out some of the current meta stuff. So if something pops up next week, there'll be something, I don't know, let's say it's, what's the next thing after now that Royal Host got beaten and isn't in the finals of S-Bot or whatever, what's the next one? I don't know. Is that what happened? I don't know. I haven't been following it.
The finals is actually being played later on today. It's Warriors of Chaos
Oh,
versus
okay.
Warriors
Right,
of
yeah.
Chaos. But you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The Royal Host did get defeated. I think it was semis that it ended up getting
Yeah, okay.
taken
So
down.
like, but whatever the next thing is, what I want to be able to do is like rapidly respond to that in a way that says, okay, well then when did that start popping up in the meta? Like where and who was playing and how did that work? And so some of that data I want to be able to share as well. And I think, with some of the tools we have these days, we can do that by analyzing the lists and then joining it back into this sort of faction matchup results. So it'd be really interesting to see. Um, and that's why I thought I'll split it out, have it, and it'll just grow over time as we work out better sort of reports to share. And then aggregate that again, those same reports would be available globally across all of it as well, which would be cool just to see the differences. So
Yeah, amazing. This is great. I really like having the win rates here, even just at the first step. You obviously said you're going to
yeah,
add
it's
more.
not 100% accurate, because technically it's count. I mean, again, debatable, I guess, but yeah, it currently would track. It wouldn't exclude mirror matches, for example, because I don't know there's mirror matches in that data set. So the
Mm,
little things like that. So as we improve it, it'll get, I guess, more accurate in a way, if you know what I mean.
great.
We do track then faction leaders too, which is the next thing down. Based on, again, the Masters ranking point for your region, it is just showing who's sort of scoring the most points for those factions, which is pretty cool. And also down to the sub faction level as well, not just on the sort of the parent one. So
Yeah, this is
yeah,
great because it gives you a more achievable target to shoot for. So
yeah,
this is something that I have been looking at. I'm just gonna highlight that one there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
looking forward
yeah.
to when you've got this as on a global level, so I can have a
Mm,
look at how I'm doing. But yeah, it's great because you can see instead of just going for, oh well, maybe the top 10 is unachievable, but you can look down like, oh well, I play Bretonians. There's not really many people with scores for Errantry Crusade. I could get my name on the stats there if I just went to
yeah.
one tournament and did okay
Yeah,
with
did
Errantry
well.
Crusade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like obviously, like I'll just say it again. People who are watching the UK on this video, just take it with a grain of salt because these scores are, indicative. I don't know. The UK might change how we track this next year, but I feel like I don't know what you think, but I think it feels like 2025 is going to be the year that this stuff does get settled. In terms
Yeah,
of when people are going to run it, what tournaments we're going to include,
yeah,
and so this is really a playground at the moment. But at the same time, that's what we want to know. We want to know what do we want. So when 2025 is, hitting full steam, February, whatever it is, that it's set up, it's good to go when we're running with it. So,
yeah.
did you want to move into like click on your profile, for example, and just quickly
Sure.
show what's in there versus what maybe is going to come? So, like I said, you might have to scroll up. There's some weird thing with scrolling here when you navigate. Sorry about that.
That's
Oh, and
okay.
it just doesn't look as pretty on Win. I'm going to have to change these emojis. That's okay. Basically, like I said, you have a global profile. So now that you've linked yours to Ed after the call, go back to your settings, bottom left, and change your nick to whatever you want because
Mm,
you've got control of that now that you've linked the player. Um, but this would be your sort of shareable URL that if you send this on Twitter or on Facebook, you actually get a little preview card telling people what your rank is and stuff. So it dynamically
nice.
calculates it, showing all your tournament history. We're sort of in the way of this screen share at the moment, but it does show like Ed's preferred like basically what he's been winning with, which it looks like Dark Elves, Orcs, and
Mm,
Skaven at the moment. And that is, you currently got a runner up and a tournament win on there. So the achievement system is currently like obviously podiums and the Masters podium and stuff like that. The regions, though, can also create a bunch of different achievements. So there's default ones right now, like wooden spoon, best painted, best sports, stuff like that. But you can add your own, and then the TOs can then obviously dish them out to people. So then their profile will start showing stuff other than just wins. You know,
nice.
who's won the best painted out of last year, that sort of stuff. I don't want this to just be all tournament competitive. I want this to be hobby. So I also expect that this will have uploadable galleries. So I want someone to go to Ed's Dark Elf army list that he won last week or
Mhm.
last month, whatever it was. I want to see the gallery next to there. I want to see that army. Like I want to see. So when I turn up against on the table, I see, oh, cool, that's Ed's Dark Elves. So I want to add that sort of stuff in there. So it's not just all about rolling dice and scoring really high. It's also like showing off your hobby and stuff like that. And then following other people, grudging people, that sort of stuff, like make it a bit fun. So
Yeah, and
that
that leads
stuff's going
back
to flow out.
into what you were saying about making it sort of social media like.
Yeah. 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 As we get more data and you can do a lot more when you got a lot more people using the product. So when everyone's in there, they're like they're following along with their scene and participating in it. That bubbles up obviously stuff we can do to make their experience on the platform better. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to some of those other elements, but got to get this stuff right first. So
Yeah, absolutely.
he's
And
changed it. Look at that, Edward Close Order. There you go. So yeah, he's grabbed it.
absolutely. Got to get in there early for all those
Yeah.
other Edwards with the close order channel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, this is great stuff. I think we've gone through most of the functionality you've got there. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you wanted to cover?
Not really. I mean, everything's just like obviously I'll harp on down on that chat button again. I'm pretty responsive. There is a couple of like Andrew from Old World Fanatics is also like a super admin on the system, so he's around to help as well. Obviously, we've got about a handful of region admins now who are starting to set up their regions and work through that and stuff like that. But again, you don't need to be an admin, but like if you want to jump on, give us feedback, tell us what you like, what you don't. The search stuff up the top there and on the global page is really good. I think if you're a bit techie like me, you don't like clicking around, you can just literally go up there, type the tournament name, type the player name, and it'll find it and bang, you're in there. So there's an easy way to get around. If you need to find someone, yeah, Richie's there, just click him straight in. So like it's I don't know. I don't like to brag, but I think this is running a lot quicker than a lot of those other platforms that are out there,
This
and that's why
so
I want this to be one of the best. So
this is first of all, in terms of responsiveness, this acts like a website, and you're going to say, "Yeah,
of course,
it's
yeah,
2024. Why is that
Why are we?
notable?"
Yeah,
If you go to the BCP rankings that are hosted for at least Age of Sigmar and 40k, those are the only two I've looked at. They are so slow, so unresponsive, so hard to find any data.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Yeah, time to grow up. Yeah, I think. Yeah. So this is, and look, we talked about, like Rob talks about this on Squarebase about running tournaments, like just making it easier to do it. Like one of the things we want to do, I think actually, if you go to upcoming, and then scroll down to a blank month. See if you find one, for example. I don't know if there is one.
Got a lot of events here in the UK.
UK is good. Look at that. Look at that. UK is full of them. But basically, if you don't have a month there, it comes up with a little like banner saying there's no months here. What I want to do there is like start a tournament. Like, and then Rob's got heaps of resources. I've got STLs donated, for all your medals and your trophies. I got build again. We're trying to build the community of Old World. It's like it should be easy to run a tournament as well. So that will be coming on the platform down the track as well. So like this is all just to help us play the game more, make it successful. We don't want to see another N times 2. So this is I know that's what I'm saying. So like I want this to succeed, and this is my sort of small way to help, I guess, because I love doing it and I love Warhammer. So
I wouldn't call this a small way. This is a fantastic website. It's great that you're putting the work in. Really appreciate it. And if people do appreciate it, what's the best way they can support you?
Yeah, well, like the first thing is jumping in that. When I share it, the Discord, like people who are in there, like I don't need people in there every day, but people sharing ideas, stuff that what would make them use the product and come back all the time. And that's not to try and make money out of you, but just to make sure it's used. If it's used, I can make it useful. Do you know what I mean? Like if I got people there, it just makes it helps grow it. So that's number one. I mean, there is the donate buttons at the top if people, obviously the
Covered by
service
my
costs
face,
a
but
little
top
bit.
right.
Yeah, button, like click up there. There's a way to donate like coffee and stuff. Then like that's not needed. If people do it, great, love you for it. But it's pretty cheap to run this at the moment. Obviously, that might change over time, but I fully expect there'll be other ways that this can make its own money and not have to, drag it out of everyone. But that will support as well. But like right now, we are after ideas, suggestions, and using it. Obviously, so the regions getting online, working with me. Yes, that Masters ranking is Australia. It will not take me long. Like if you, Ed, came in and said, we need to run UK rankings X, Y, Z way, it probably is up and running next week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's not hard. So I don't want people to think it's hard. I just want them to go, what do I want for my region or area? Let's make it happen. So when 2025 kicks around, everyone's running on decent like ranking systems for their area. What we do with that, well, we don't know. There's heaps. We've got the Square-based guys looking at the World Tournament next year. I know Nova's running their American one. You guys are talking about Team England. Germany just ran a World Teams. Like people are doing it. That's cool. Like I just want to have a place where we can start trying to track all that stuff to make that easier. So
absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much for coming on. This is something that I'm a little bit of a stats nerd. I'm not deep hardcore stats nerd, but I love being able to see the breakdown. I'm really looking forward to seeing your head-to-head faction matchup. That's something I find very interesting, and it's the sort of information that's very good because you have, as a player, a concept of how armies play against each other, but you're almost always wrong because it's all very personal bias.
It's bias.
So I see people. On my Discord, I had someone ask, "How do Tomb Kings play into?" I think it was Orcs and Goblins. And I was like, "I'm pretty sure Tomb Kings just win that like 70% of the time." But obviously, they're having personal difficulties, and that just might be the Tomb King players. Also, the Orcs and Goblin players locally are very good, and it's an interesting dichotomy. So having the sort of hard stats so you can look at and go, oh, this is good. And then, as you're saying, being able to pull and be like, oh, so what do I'm starting Dark Elves, but I've got no idea where to start. You look at it and go, oh, well, Dragons are really good. And that might be an easy one to work out, but maybe some of the factions like Mortuary Cult, you're like, oh God, what do I put in the Mortuary Cult list? Well, everyone's running a Shabti. Cool, great, that's where I'll start. I can get my painting some of those.
It's 100. That's why I put that latest result in, because I thought like it's great to have all the lists of tournaments that are run, but what you actually want to know is what just happened the last like couple of weeks or whatever. Because I literally had someone from Australia hit me up today saying they're going to CanCon. They haven't played Old World for a few months. What the hell? Like, what's happened? I went, well, actually, interestingly, I've just launched army lists on Old World rankings. So check back in a couple of days when all the army lists, at least for the podium finishes, are in there. That'll probably give you a little bit of an idea. It doesn't mean that's what's coming, but it just helps people sort of assimilate into the current scene. So yeah, it's just fun. People like to look at it. So yeah,
I definitely do. Any last thoughts before we close out?
No, not really. Just a big thank you. And I've like obviously had awesome feedback on it in terms of the, that they like it. I just, like I said, if you could jump once, I'll put those Discords to you and you can put them on the link. If you want to jump over and just chat to me, I'm totally approachable in terms of ideas. Tell me what sucks, what doesn't, what's wrong. Like it's all cool. That's what I want to know. So really appreciate it. And we'll try and get as much what the community wants in there as I can do. So.
Fantastic. Thank you again. That is Gommo from Old World Rankings and Old World Fanatics. Links to both of those will be down in the description. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the support that I receive from my channel members. Huge thanks to the Grail Knight tier supporters, and also thanks to the Longbeards and the Fanatic tier supporters as well. If you want to support the channel, you too can become a member. The link is down below the video. But if you don't want to give me any money, which is entirely fair enough, I would appreciate the thumbs up, the comments, all of those good things that help me get found in the YouTube algorithm. They really help, and they've been helping grow the channel, and I appreciate the support that I've been given. If you want to see more stuff and just engage in the community we've been building, there is a closer order Discord down below. It's not a VIP Discord, anyone can join, but there are some VIP sections for the YouTube members at Longbeard tier and above. Currently, I'm trying to get 2 videos out a week on a Thursday and a Sunday, and also doing 2 live streams. That's a Tuesday and a Friday. I do stick to this as much as possible. So, check me out. I'll see you around.